Hello and welcome to Mission Imperfect, the introduction. So in this, our first ever episode, we thought that we would take a few minutes to let you know who we are, what we're doing and why. And also to dispel any myths that we are actually only one person, which for a while we thought we might be. But I'm Kirsty and you are.
Kathryn. And yes, we are, despite the so many things that we've realised we've got in common. I think we found out a few more even today, haven't we, Kirsty, when we were getting
Yeah.
ready to do this episode. Yes, just wanted to reassure everybody we are definitely two people with just a huge amount in common, but we do have some differences as well. But we thought let's tell you all a little bit about ourselves, why we're doing this podcast before we get cracking on with all the episodes we've got up our sleeves.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the similarities obviously start with our names because we're both KBs and we are obviously both coaches. But prior to becoming coaches, which we both did comparatively late in life, it wasn't our out of school career choice. Um, we did actually do the same thing before we became coaches, didn't we?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I think, I've found a few people actually that have come from an HR background and have turned to coaching a bit later on in life. I mean, I don't know about you, Kirsty, but it wasn't something that was even on my radar. It wasn't one of those really obvious career paths that I knew about. Certainly when, back in my 20s. And to be honest, my career in HR ended up being a slightly happy accident, if I'm honest. It was something I slightly
So did mine.
stumbled my way into, but I did actually really enjoy it. But I think as most people in HR will tell you, you do some fantastic things in HR. It's about the development of people, which is obviously what coaching is very much about. But equally, we have other things that aren't quite so fun that come with HR. And I feel very fortunate to actually manage to bring all of my sort of HR background into what I do now with coaching. And I think you feel quite similarly on that front.
Yeah, because although I had uh, a rather different HR role, I was more to do with the data and the systems and the process side of it. I mean, something that I really loved about doing that was putting together sort of formulas and processes that worked. And I can spend hours trying to make an Excel formula work, literally hours. And it's all about spotting those little details, the little tiny things that are just not quite right and are throwing everything out. And I found that although sort of superficially there is no obvious connection between data and systems and coaching, that attention to the detail, spotting the little things that just don't quite fit is absolutely
Mm.
key to both.
Do you know what? I think we have found a difference for us there, Kirsty, because I'm the kind of person who looks at Excel and I'm like, just do what I want you to do, please. Please be simple. Please be straight. Can't do complicated formulas. Just add things up, do things nice and simply. I don't do anything fancy. So
Here's
I think
here's a top tip. Swearing helps. There you go.
swearing helps. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I'll try that.
yeah, I
But
would.
I think our tech abilities might be a difference between us. But yes, so our former careers are quite similar. Our names are similar. We are both coaches, and we also discovered. So I very rudely moved in 2020 when we both became coaches at that time, and we realised afterwards that we would have been neighbours because you're
Yes,
based in Beckenham and I was in Bromley, so we would have been so
yeah.
close
We
together.
spent years living in the same London borough.
I know it was funny. You never know, we might have actually crossed paths at some point.
Who knows?
It's probably
It's weird,
likely,
isn't it?
wasn't it? Yeah. But no, I have now moved, but it's okay. I haven't gone to a part of the world that you don't know because I'm now in Devon and you have a connection here as well.
Yeah, I mean, my parents and grandparents are all from Devon. I've spent lots of school holidays and stuff with grandparents in Devon, and my mother is now back living in Devon. So yeah, the connections continue.
Yes. And we also have a shared love of tea and biscuits, as you may have all noticed from our
Yeah.
graphic. We'll try to avoid, drinking and eating them whilst we're trying to record the podcast, but that's purely just so we can
Speak for
be
yourself.
heard properly. It's not because the love of biscuits is not there, but we've done this really, haven't we? Because we realised we actually joked about it one day, didn't we? Then I think we
Mm.
were in a shared networking group, both as coaches, and we so often will share a similar point of view and then realize that the other one has already commented with something. And I think someone joked about us having such similar views, and we said, oh, we should start a podcast. And then it just sort of, we were like, actually, maybe there's something to that.
Absolutely. And so the single entity that is Coach KB was born, and here we are.
Yes, that's what made me laugh when you said you saw, because my business name has got KB Mindful Coaching, and you were like, "Who's this KB?" I'm KB.
That's me.
Although fortunately, your business name is your whole name, isn't it?
Well, just my first name actually. Yeah, I just
Oh,
use
okay.
Coaching by Kirsty. So we are different in that respect. But yeah, it's funny when you see somebody else using your name or initials, you feel that kind of connection to it. That's mine.
Yeah. Yes. You're like, is that my business? Is that your business? What's going on here? I don't really understand. Yeah. And I also noticed, I don't know if you're the same, Kirsty, but we both have names that people could potentially spell differently. So certainly mine
Mm.
being Catherine, people often wonder if it starts with a C, which is obviously fair enough, but it's not, it's a K. But people often want to stick an E in it as well. And obviously I'm Catherine with a Y, and obviously you are Kirsty with a Y. I'm wondering, if do people often
Oh,
try and spell yours with an IE at the end? So you get
I do get
that
that
mistake sometimes.
occasionally. Yeah. More commonly, and especially with Americans, it's Christy rather than Kirsty. I think Christy is quite
Ah,
a
okay.
common sort of American name, whereas Kirsty is not. So I quite often become Christy. And I do find
Yeah.
that when I'm trying to type too fast, I sometimes make myself Christy
Oh,
or
dear.
Curtsy. Yeah. Actually, one of my
Yeah.
grandmother's friends was convinced that my name was Curtsy and she spelt it like the curtsy, the little bow. But
Oh, but yeah, even in our first names, we share quite a lot of the main letters, don't we? We have the K, the R, the T, the Y. There's no E, there's no I, and we have the same initials for our surnames. But let's talk a little bit about, yes, we agreed. We're both coaches. We love coaching. We have very similar views, but we
Mhm.
thought, okay, maybe there is something in podcast. And I think we realized there was so when we did a little when we met and we spoke about what could we possibly talk about, because I think we both felt, oh, this feels a bit strange, but it feels safer doing it with someone else. Let's see if we can come up with some ideas of things we could talk about. And even though we've joked about being the same person, we both came up with quite a lot of topics with some overlap, but we had some different ones in there, didn't we?
We did. I mean, I think the first handful we both came up with were the same, which had us going, no, seriously? Uh, but yeah, and even then, I think sometimes we'd use different words to approach very similar subjects. But yeah, when we started coming up with ideas, we realized that there is so much to talk about that that comes under that broad umbrella of coaching. Because for me, when you're a life coach, nothing is out of bounds. That's one of the things I love
Mm,
about it. It covers everything. Everything can be of interest. And it's a chance to look at absolutely anything and everything that affects you and how you're living your life, how you're feeling about yourself, how you want to feel about yourself, how you want to be in this one shot at life that we get.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's really important. I do feel like as a life coach, you can certainly spend quite a lot of time trying to explain to people what actually is that, a life coach, because you can't live someone else's life for them. It doesn't perhaps make as much sense as, say, for example, when you hear the term a career coach. It's like, okay, yes, I get that. Or, in the sporting arena, a sporting
Yeah,
coach. But I think we both share this view is that all of these things are part of a puzzle. And I think our approach to this podcast is we're going to start talking about all these pieces of the puzzle that we see that make up the complexity of what it is to be human and the things that we are grappling with. So we'll be talking about things like acceptance, like boundaries, like values, all of these things. And they might sound like they're quite fluffy things, mightn't they? But actually, I think they're things that they do warrant a bit of our time and attention, and just to think about them and to understand yourself better, because and we're both very firm believers of this, that coaches don't swoop in and tell you what to do. It's about you understanding and how you feel about yourself and how you choose to live your life. And we're not saying it's easy. In fact, we're saying, if anything, it's very imperfect, isn't it? It's the name of our podcast, which we chose very deliberately. And it was actually a name we landed on quite early on, isn't it, Kirsty? And we're big
Yeah.
fans of the fact that it is all a bit imperfect, but actually that's okay. Be you, do you, understand you, and it is okay that way. And you can still do it. And we will have a lovely imperfect podcast, but we hope that people will resonate with the topics that we're talking about and hopefully take away something from each episode.
Very much so. Couldn't agree more with all of that. And if you're listening in the hope of a really beautifully polished and edited podcast, we might not be right for you. Warning you up front. Yeah, imperfect, because that's what life is, and that's what we are. But I mean, arguably perfectly imperfect, or are we imperfectly perfect? I don't know, but that's just who we are. Perfection is essentially a bunch of clones, and who wants to
Mm,
be a clone? And it's in the
yeah.
imperfection you find the learning. That's where you find your way forward. That's where you find your uniqueness. And rather than beating ourselves up for it, learning to embrace the imperfections that are uniquely and beautifully us and part of our lives, and learning from and to move forward with the imperfections that sit a little less comfortably. That's what it's all about.
Mm. So hopefully you'll find, so over the episodes, and we've chosen a whole host of topics to talk about. They're all things that we've found that we've discussed with our clients, and we find that we they affect us too, don't they, Kirsty? We've spoken
Mm.
very openly, and we will do in our episodes about them and our own experiences as well. So I hope that you will all find some useful tidbits, and they're all based on our combined sort of 8 years coaching and goodness knows how many years of HR as well we've got between us as well, Kirsty. But
Lots. See it lots.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think we're both at a stage in our lives now where we love supporting others. We've accepted a lot of our own imperfections and the fact that we've made changes and choices through our lives, bit of things that we've detailed, like we've both left careers in HR to pursue coaching, and we very much love supporting others to recognize and identify things in their lives that they would like to feel differently about. And underpinning most of that is feelings and understanding about ourselves. And for us, it's definitely very much about embracing that, being imperfect, doing it anyway. So it won't come as any surprise that we'll absolutely be talking about perfectionism, probably in most episodes, I imagine, wouldn't you, Kirsty?
I think it will feature along with the tea and biscuits.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's probably everything we wanted to say for the intro, unless you've got anything else, Kirsty.
No, I think that's it. And we very much hope that you will join us in getting lost in finding ourselves.
Brilliant. We'll see you all soon. Take care.